Welcome back into Double A Baseball. Adam Oppenheim with Alex Hynes here on Thursday, April 2nd. About a week of baseball is done being played in the 2026 season. Alex, we have a bunch of exciting things to talk about. Obviously, opinions start to form now, but they don't really mean a ton because there's a ton more games left. But one thing that is going to be sticking around for the entire season is ABS. What are your initial thoughts on it?
I mean, this certainly beats, the conversations about torpedo bats we had this time last year. I mean, that was completely useless. No, but seriously, talking about ABS, I mean, I just think it is amazing how quickly this has gotten streamlined. I mean, you look at the beginning of spring training, you could kind of tell it was a bit rocky at times, just trying to get everybody acclimated, and that also just includes the stadiums getting ready to put it on the big board really quick, umpires, getting things started. There were times where we were still trying to figure out what is the challenge period, so to speak, I forget what dugout it was during spring training was like trying to see if they could challenge from the dugout or relay information like they do from the departments for normal challenges. But everything has been so streamlined and it really does feel like it's very quick, it's very effective. Um, and I just think overall it's turned into a really nice marriage of getting stuff right when it needs to be right, but also keeping the human element and in a way twisting the human element because now it's still all about what the human eye can see, but now instead of being 100% on the umpires, it's now 85% on the umpires, and that other 15% is about, well, what do the eyes of the catcher, the pitcher, the batter see? And so there's still that human element as to whether you challenge or not. And I think we'll see a lot of that over the course of the year on who's trusted to challenge, who's not. And I'm curious what the success rate's going to be by the end of the year.
There's so many things you can talk about with ABS. I think part of it that's really nice is there's no decision from the dugout. It's quick.
Yeah.
Batter tips or whoever taps their head. Um, you make the decision quickly. The broadcast booth doesn't even, have like that strike zone with on a monitor anymore. So they can't even tell whether it's a strike or a ball. It shows how hard a lot of these calling balls and strikes are. And the strategy. How early do you want to challenge? If you use your first challenge and lose it in the third inning, are you going to want to challenge another pitcher? Or do you want to keep that until it's a crucial situation late in the game? You obviously mentioned it. What batter is challenging is super important. There's a big difference between someone who has a great eye like Altuve or someone else who's, a young rookie, let's say, on the Astros.
I think also there's a great point made by Saris of the Athletic about when you decide to challenge, what situations are you going to challenge in? I think, still early on, we've seen a lot of players that seem almost hesitant to challenge, unless it's, blatant. And there have been plenty of the blatant ones, and we'll probably get to that later. But, early in games, you're probably not, you know, testing it all that much because you want to ensure you have it in the ninth inning if you need it. It's kind of the idea of if you're challenging the first three innings, you better get it right.
Right.
And dealing with advantage counts perhaps early in games compared to let's just save it for a 2-2, 3-2 pitch in the ninth inning to ensure that, we're getting that strikeout that we should have gotten and we're not walking a guy on strike three or on the flip side, you're not striking out on ball four. So I think that element of strategy is great. And we've seen different strategies about it already. There have been teams where there are guys that it's just like I'm free swinging with the helmet taps. I think Randy Rosarena, you know, was walking down to first, taking his equipment off after he challenged because he knew
And
he already earned a walk.
and that was close to that pitch.
Exactly, and that's where I think it gets a little bit interesting. Is it's there's that element of confidence you have to have. And that's why I kind of like the fact that it's a finite amount of challenges. You're not just, getting it back every single time you win, because then you may get a million challenges, especially if you've got a good say a good catcher behind the dish, Patrick Bailey, who probably has a great framing catcher, has a good eye of the zone. Um, this means that hey, you only have so many chances, so you better
Yeah.
choose your moment.
And the thing you're seeing is not a lot of pitchers challenging it.
Right.
It's mostly, and I think the catchers are going to have a higher success rate than the hitters. You mentioned it with Bailey. They know, at least, not all of them are elite framers like Patrick Bailey, but they know when they're framing the ball when it's kind of out of the zone. And for some hitters too, you're going to see this. I think we saw it a few times. Batters challenging on nothing counts. I don't think you're going to see that often because, like, sure, there's a difference. If the bases are empty, I should say. There's not much of a difference between 1-0 and 0-1 with the bases empty. But you want them in those crucial situations. Obviously, I watched the Red Sox a lot, but I think they were the first team to run out of challenges early, and they ran out of them in like I think it was like the third inning, and the rest of the game it was really tough because someone behind the dish was not very good, but they had no challenges to use, and a lot of times that's what it's going to be until the players get used to. You can't use challenges like that early on if it's not important.
And I think there definitely will be some element of coaching staffs imparting that and say, hey, we want to make sure we get one challenge for the final two innings, let's say. Ideally have all of them, have both available. But yeah, back to the framing element too. I think that one thing makes it interesting is, people are talking about ABS being maybe not this version of ABS, but the full automated. If it is coming down the line, people have talked about how that's the death of framing and whatnot. I think in a way you're just seeing an adaptation of framing now because obviously still you're framing throughout the game, and yes, you're only losing maybe three pitches, based on correct or wrong calls being challenged. But you're also as a framer now, you're not just trying to sort of fool the umpire into giving you a strike. You're also kind of fooling the batter in a way. There's a little bit more of that
When they look
direct.
back, yeah.
Yeah, so like there's some element of, well, if the catcher receives it well, you may bait a guy into challenging a pitch on a 1-2 count, um, thinking that he's, going to have ball two instead of strike three or whatever it may be. And you're basically, coaxing them into losing a challenge later on in the ball game. So there's a lot of extra strategy here, even if it's minute strategy.
I agree. And I think a lot of it is positive. Most of the negatives, I think, midway through the season, they're going to go away. Maybe there's some things that, stick around that we kind of figure out more as the season progresses. But it really doesn't take long. And it helps, especially the big situations if the umpire misses badly, that they're not being scrutinized when they called, 97% of pitches, fastballs at 98 all the way to like fastballs even faster now, all the way down to like breaking pitches in the 70s. It's not that easy to get all those right.
And I do think, again, to your point, I think a lot of any issues that there are right now are going to be ironed out pretty easily because I think a lot of it is just all the human element that we're talking about. There's no technological difference
Right.
probably between ABS today and ABS in September. But now that teams are trying to figure out how they want to challenge in games that actually matter, spring training, I think guys were just kind of,
They were,
uh,
yeah.
throwing things around saying, oh, what the heck? These games don't matter anyway. I might as well see how good my eye really is. A lot of it's going to get worked out once teams kind of figure out how they want to do things. And so I think that's what's going to make it kind of less novel by the time I think we get to, July even, where it's like, oh, there's an ABS challenge. He got it right. He's good at it, whatever. Whereas now I think almost it's getting maybe a bit too extreme on the coverage of it. I mean, we're seeing booths and go crazy being like, oh my gosh, it's an ABS challenge when it's one pitch out of what, 200. But
T-Mobile's getting the run in, man.
hey, I mean, even MLB Network, MLB Now, I think, is was doing their ABS Challenge of the Day. It's like, okay, this is getting a bit.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm all for it, but like, it is getting.
Does that mean like the closest pitch?
I think
or
it's like
like the
it
worst
was like
call?
the best challenge, like the best usage of it. I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know,
just
man.
different
I
interpretation.
don't run the show. I don't work on the show.
I do like
I
how
think we're in
baseball.
ABS fever, though, is kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah, I do like the baseball savant thing where you can see like the ABS challenges like for a player.
Right.
That's super cool. So, do you have any predictions who's going to be number one?
I mean, I'm going to lean back to what I said earlier and say Patrick Bailey. It feels like a cop-out answer because you're talking about a guy who's already a great defensive catcher. It's going to be a catcher. I do not think there is going to be, let me put it this way. I think there will be a large gap between correct challenges of catchers versus batters by the end of the year. I do think that percentage-wise, there will be a higher success rate for catchers.
Yeah, it's a pretty good take. Right now, Mike Trout and Kyle Schwarber each have three challenges won and only one
Sure.
lost. So we're gonna go with, Mike Trout. He's gonna
Why not?
break the
Hey,
record.
he's
The AB.
back.
He's not only gonna get first this season, but he's gonna break the ABS record. I know.
Really?
Yeah, he's gonna
That's a
break
bold
it.
take right there.
Most challenges won. I know. It's crazy. Just going way outside the box. But ABS is fun. I think the hype's gonna die down a little bit, but it is cool to see.
I
Like
will
the
say,
animation, this is exactly what I imagined it to be.
perfect.
One of my favorite things in sports. I'm not an avid tennis watcher, but I like it when they zoom in on the ball going like down the line, whether it's in or out. It's like an awesome animation. That's just what baseball is.
That's now for me, I see it more with cricket. And maybe
Wow,
me and my
man.
dad are the only people that will actually understand this. But like for the taking of wickets, bowling wickets, they'll do something where if it hits the front of the leg of the batter, they can then mimic the path of the ball and say whether it's going to hit the stumps behind four and out.
Ah,
And so that's one of my favorite graphics. Maybe it's just I love watching fun little graphics on during a broadcast because it looks cool.
it
But
does.
like it's the same idea. Last thing I will say on this though too is there is some fun element as well for the crowd beyond just like, oh, it's an ABS
There.
challenge. We won an ABS challenge. It's also the public humiliation of umpires that I think we've been waiting to finally be able to prove. Because it's always like, hey, Blue, you're blind. You don't know what you're talking about. You know, do you need new glasses? All the fun jeers that you get. But you never were able to prove it in real time. You could see the umpire scorecard on Twitter afterwards and say, wow, Angel Hernandez, that was bad.
Hmm.
But it's not until now that you get the live feedback from a batter challenging saying, yeah, take a look at that, Blue. You
Yeah.
missed.
And you feel like they could adjust their zone too when they feel like, the pitch high he notices it isn't a strike. So maybe you
That's a
adjust
good
it to
point.
next pitch. So with that being said, we'll talk more about ABS throughout the season. Let's get to some of the players. Let's talk about the rookies. Connor Griffin is being called up. That was announced today. He's going to start at shortstop in the Pirates home opener. But really, the rookies have been spectacular to start this season. Really fun.
Yeah. I do want to take one note on Connor Griffin that was put out by Sarah Langs at MLB Network. Connor Griffin is the first teenage position player in an MLB game since Juan Soto in 2018. I mean, that's how rare it is to see a guy that I believe was born in 2006 making the big leagues and starting as well. I mean, and it's rare that this is happening at the beginning of the season, thanks to the new incentives for, should he win Rookie of the Year. Um, Now I'm
Didn't you?
surprised it was this quick.
Yeah, you thought it was going to be because remember, I think I picked him for Rookie of the Year, and you were like, I don't know if he's going to play a lot of games.
Well, I didn't say that. I just thought he was going to get called up in like mid-May, you
Yeah.
know, which you like they did with Paul Skeens, where or like that. I guess that was late April, early May. Still, it just
Uh,
felt like the whole purpose of sending him down was to give him time. I don't. He's not played a single minor league game yet. What was the point of that? I mean, I'm not quite sure, but I mean, hey, it's good. It's good to have him up. I think the Pirates, well, they could always use all the help they can get. And so I don't know. It's fun. I'm excited to see him because, like, we've not had we've had consensus like number one prospects, but we haven't really had a guy like this again since like Juan Soto, where it was hey, this guy is not only, you know, young, in this case, a teenager, but he's a position player that's so highly touted. And I feel like we've seen it's easier to break in as a top prospect pitcher like a Paul Skeens, that has that generational tag assigned to him than it is to be a position player having to deal with guys throwing 100 miles an hour when,
Yeah,
again, Connor Griffin, you know, any other, you know, position player at right now is either in the minor leagues in single A or in college ball facing, you know, maybe an SEC arm, if he's at Vandy or whatever. But you're not seeing guys throwing 100 every game like he's going to.
no, not. I want to talk about Chase DeLauter. First home run of his career comes in Seattle opening day. He actually hits a second in that game, and then the second and third game of the series, he also homers. His family, I think, was in attendance for all those games. I mean, it's pretty cool because, like, the Guardians can always use offensive talent. He was picked in the first round, I believe, a few years ago for Cleveland. So that's fun. I mean, obviously, McGonigal,
Yeah,
that's a fun start. Uh,
4 for 5. I mean, it's just insane how these guys are starting. JJ Weatherholt, another guy he's
yeah, the
favorite. I
walk
think he
off
entered
too.
favorite for NL Rookie of the
Oh
Year.
yeah.
McGonigal, the favorite in the AL. I mean, gee, it's ridiculous. These guys are just bursting on the scene. We've never seen anything like this before, really,
It
from rookies.
it felt like there was like a possible trend, maybe the last couple years bringing up guys when they're younger because it's like, why waste their talent
And now
in
there's
the
the
minor?
incentive, so you can't manipulate service time, or if you do, you're hurting yourself by doing so.
Right. It helps. It helps pitchers because they don't want them to, you know, throw a bunch of innings in the minors if they're really good can be at the MLB level. But now you're seeing an influx of hitters. Sal Stewart has been terrific to start the season. Murakami has had some blasts in Milwaukee. I know the White Sox haven't been that good, but he's been their bright spot, which is nice. And I feel like a lot of teams focused a lot on the strikeout numbers. And yes, he is going to strike out this season. But his power seems to be there, so that's a really good sign if you're a White Sox fan.
Yeah, I mean, again, he can hit the ball hard. I know there were some images or stills taken from when the WBC with Otani like helping him tweak something in his swing. That may have changed something. I don't know how much I buy into that, but again, it's just it's great to see these guys really start out fast. And Murakami obviously comes in with a bigger platform than the rest, just playing professionally in Japan and dominating over there. But it's just it's wild that these guys are so MLB ready now, and I think that's something that again, it's not perfect, but it does feel like we're not only seeing guys debut earlier as naturally, but we're seeing guys that are more prepared for the big leagues than ever before, whether it's guys that are just a year or two removed from college where they're getting much better experience, or they're just more mature through the minor league system. Like McGonagall's not played above double A. Connor Griffin will not have played above double A before making his debut.
Yep, it's so fun. I think young talent in baseball, it's fun to watch. Uh, I mean, everyone remembers, like those superstar players when they're young, like someone like Around the Acuna or Mike Trout. We like more of those stories where they play for a long time, and that a lot of times only happens when you come into the MLB really young. Not to say someone at 25 can't play like 10 years, but it's like you see these players like grow up. Like born in 2006 playing in the MLB. Like what? What are
Well,
the rest of us doing?
right. Well, and perhaps as well, maybe part of this is because we are witnessing just a rare sort of vein of not maybe generationals, a bit
Oh,
premature, but still,
yeah.
you're talking about guys that I think are all these are top end rookies beyond maybe some years past that just happen to be converging at the same time. I know McGonigal and Griffin, I think, were number 2 and 1 Obviously, Griffin was number one. I think McGonagall was number two.
That makes sense, yeah.
Um, Weatherholt was another guy that I think was pretty consensus top 10, 15 in the last year or so. So there is that element too. But still, it's like, hey, these guys can play, they can make an instant impact. And for a team like the Reds, a team like the Tigers, a team like even the Guardians, that's that's a real tangible result you're getting.
It
My
is.
cat is a big fan of Kevin McGonigal on the
Oh,
Tigers, as you can imagine.
look at that. That is hilarious. Let's quickly touch on some contract extensions. Um, what have you thought about the new ones that have come out?
Yeah,
Colts,
so the main
and
three
Cubs.
um, would be Colt Emerson most recently with the Mariners. The Brewers had another one as well, but I say that one's a little bit less impressive just because it's a little bit cheaper and Colt Emerson's a top 10 prospect in baseball. Him getting 95 million, I think over 8-ish years. I could be wrong on that. Um, However, then you get PCA and Nico Horner both for the Cubs, 115, 140 something million, I think, over 6 years each. I could be wrong on the numbers. Let me pull that up. I'm again getting distracted here by a furry friend.
That's fine.
But I mean, what are your initial thoughts? Because I mean, I think for the Cubs, they it's a really interesting combination of a guy that doesn't strike out a lot, contact guy with Nico Horner, big boomer bust bat with PCA, and two elite defenders at their respective positions.
Well, I think what it comes down to for the Cubs is you mentioned it. Awesome defenders. And Nico Horner is always going to give you at least a plus with the bat. You know he's not going to bring you a lot of power, but he's able to get on base and he's fast also. I think it's an underrated attribute. So someone like Larissa Rise might have a similar, baseball savant page as Horner, but he doesn't steal bags and he's not a good defender. So that's where it goes. PCA, obviously, the strikeouts and the chase, more the chasing out of the zone than the strikeouts, I would say, have been an issue for PCA so far. But he's so good defensively in center field. He has a chance to be the best defender just in the NL in general. So I think that those were obvious extension candidates. Colton Emerson, it's super interesting because usually these players like prospects at least play some games before you extend them. Like, could his price go up that much more after like 10 games? Maybe. It could. I don't know.
Right. And I think, in the same way, it's like, why not do it now? I mean, we saw that with Jackson Churio, where it's like, well, we kind of know what we're getting. Or at least we know what the, you know, middle outcome would be. If he sticks as a major leaguer, isn't quite, superstar on day one, but he's still a serviceable major leaguer in say 2026. Let's say he gets called up in the next month. They're it's kind of a way just to project things out. I mean, he's still going to reach free agency at a decent time, and you're essentially just saying, all right, let's not deal with arbitration issues in the future. Let's get you a locked in price and just move forward with our lives, in a way.
I mean, it's cool. Nah, I like Mariners spending money. It's cool. They want to remain competitive, which so far it's been a struggle.
And
But
for the Mariners, it makes a lot of sense because of that. Because they've been a team that's not been willing to spend the big dollars and they're not a free agency driven team at all. Well, I mean, you've got guys under contract that you're going to need to worry about. I mean, really only one, I guess Cal Raleigh, because you already have Julio under a long-term deal. But again, point remains, if you want to supplement these guys along with their stellar pitching staff, that's all pretty much all homegrown except for Luis Castillo. You're saving money here with a top prospect to ensure that maybe it's extending those guys, maybe it's going into free agency in October, or not October, in November, December, and now you're talking about bringing this team further forward in those years in which you are going to have Colt Emerson as, say, your starting shortstop, second baseman, whatever.
totally agree. And last thing I'll say about this, just because we're running short on time, it's nice for a player to not have this sort of pressure to already be working for a contract after they make their debut. That's why some of
Yeah.
these things can be super tough for players because you don't know if no one expected Jackson Holiday to be so bad to start off his career, but the pitching's a lot different. First of all, for lefties, you don't really see good lefties or a ton in AAA. It just doesn't happen. They just get called up to the majors. So that's extremely difficult. The guys are throwing harder. There's more movement. Completely different game.
And off of that too, I mean, again, it's very similar for Colt Emerson. You're talking about a left-handed hitting infielder. He's
Yeah.
only 20 years old still. I mean, you know, it's the same. It's the same issues where it's like, well, he doesn't have to worry about it. Yes, you're saving money if you're the team extending him, and for Emerson, it's probably more of an idea of, hey, I'm perfectly fine getting this money, especially because he gets this now. I think I forget what the length of deal was. But whatever it is, um, 8 year extension. That takes him through age 28. He's still going to be a free agent on time, essentially, with where he would be normally. So maybe an extra, couple years later, but he's still in that window to get a big contract if he's performing the way he's expected to in his 20s. So it's not like he's really leaving much money on the table because he could still get a good free agent deal at age 29, age 30. Maybe not the 10-year deal he'd be getting if he went through normal practices or whatever, but you're getting money on top of this 95 mil.
No doubt, no doubt. Let's discuss some of the teams. We got about 10 minutes to go, and we want to get in our AA plus and oh no segments and re-explain them because this is our second season of doing that.
Bringing it back.
So I'm gonna throw out the Astros to start. I think the Astros have been an interesting team. They're tied for the most runs scored in the league with the Brewers. They swept the Red Sox. Hunter Brown has looked good so far. Lance McCullers had an awesome start after he struggled last year. He was coming back from an arm injury as well, I want to say. But he's been dealing with some injuries. But the Astros, I think at least I wrote them off. I don't know if you did. I was thinking there was a chance they could finish third or fourth in division, and it seems like a healthy Yordan Alvarez is going to help. If Christian Walker can go back to the way he was saying with Arizona, they could be dangerous.
Yeah, I think, a big thing that was in, I also wrote them off. And again, for me, it was a bit more about the depth than anything. And that may be something we'll see later on in the
Yeah,
year.
hasn't been
But I
tested
do
right.
think Yordan Alvarez being healthy was something where it was like, if he's healthy, he's an MVP candidate. There's no doubt about it. He just hasn't been healthy for the last, 3, 4 years. And so you're still, a bit concerned. I do wonder about the pitching staff, but Lance McCullers. Great outing. I don't think he was a guy we were expecting to
No,
necessarily be a contributor to a postseason rotation. Again, it's one star. We don't know if that's what it's going to be. Um, but if this team is going to be good, they're going to need some help beyond Hunter Brown, beyond Christian Javier and Tatsuya Imai, who both had rough season debuts. So it's a team that has a lot of that upper end potential because of what we know they have, the known commodities, but there's still a lot of intrigue to go on. And hey, sweeping the Red Sox early in the year, a team that should be a postseason team, is a good start to have.
I mean they have the names. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Just it's not like Jose Altuve's really in his prime. Carlos Correa maybe just coming out of it. Correa hasn't been good the past couple seasons, but a full season in Houston could help him a lot. And then Christian Walker, I think, is really the key. Cam Smith, a fun player. So if he can get the bat going as well, that helps. What other teams do you have? We probably have time for maybe one or two more to discuss.
Well, let's stay in the division. Let's talk about the Athletics. I mean, we knew the rotation wasn't going to be great, and it hasn't necessarily been great in their one for six or one win out of 6 games start to the season. But the offense was supposed to be super good, and maybe it still can be. But Shea Langoliers has 5 of the team's 6 homers. Fantastic, great. they struck out 74 times. They struck out a record amount of times in the opening series against the Blue Jays, and it is bad. That's just bad. And so it's a young team that I think is maybe taking a little bit longer to get underway than maybe we had thought.
Yeah, it doesn't help when Nick Kurtz is 1 for 17. That's
50
tough.
strikeouts against the Jays, a modern era record for strikeouts by an offense in a series.
What I will say is the bottom of the Athletics lineup was not supposed to be good. The top was supposed to be good, but like Denzel Clark, he's in there for his defense. Yeah, Jeff McNeil's in there. He had a funny strikeout. I don't know if you saw that clip where he like screamed after it.
Oh yeah.
Like Tom like totally picked up what he said. Someone like Lawrence Butler, the Law Dog, I think is what Dallas Braden calls him. I'm pretty sure that's his nickname. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm
Sure.
just crazy. But
We're
him
calling him
hitting
that now.
sixth. I mean, Jacob Wilson had a great year last year, rookie year, but he's not supplying a lot of power. It's really down to the top four guys, and Langoliers has been fantastic. So it's been the other three.
Yeah. Where do you want to go next? I know there's a couple teams that have, I mean, we're mainly talking about teams that have been worse than expected, I guess, with the A's, but
How about
is
let's
there
go
any
with the
team that stands
Cardinals?
out? I like it. It's been a fun team. I mean, how about Alec Burleson to start off the year? I mean, he's been a great hitter last few years, but still, I mean, hey, he's turning into a dude for a team that actually has won a few games. JJ Weatherholt, we mentioned him. There's stuff there. It's not as unwatchable as I think we would have expected based on the preseason outlook.
This is why I say to a lot of teams who are bad, it's like, why not just put a team together of young players and see what happens? That's pretty much the Cardinals' entire lineup. It's like
Yeah.
kids or, men under 30. Nolan Gorman, Jordan Walker, who I know has had some struggles early in his career hitting the ball. Victor Scouts at the bottom of the line, but obviously Weatherholt's the big one. And he's been terrific so far. Yeah, but walk-off, he has his first homer. It's
And
it's not unwatchable, like you said, and no one's looking at the pitching staff and thinks they're going to be good.
But I do think that there is some interest whether, maybe they can get something out of that bullpen to where a guy like Riley O'Brien, Jojo Romero, Ryan Standing, maybe they can turn those guys into trade chips by the deadline. You never know what you can get for a rental reliever. I mean, again, I don't think the pitching staff is going to be anything special. I don't think the rotation is going to be great outside of maybe a Liberatore, maybe McGreevy has a decent year. But there's potential that, again, a rebuilding team, find someone you can trade. You're not going to find it with the youth in their lineup, maybe there's a reliever that they can get something out of.
Not bad. Not bad for considering the way we looked at the Cardinals. They very well could finish last. I think there's still a good chance of that happening. But I mean, the Cardinals, the past few years, what have they even been doing?
Hey, they're not going to be the Rockies this year. So
That's interesting standard. But I guess the way the Cardinals have been
when we're
trending,
talking about unwatchability, they are
yes,
the poster child.
that's true. I mean, yeah, I mean the Rockies do play at Coors Field, so that makes for some, the longest home run of the season will come there. Good chance.
Yeah, it's going to be Kyle Stowers.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, he does have some power. So with that being said, we got 5 minutes left to go. We're gonna do our AA plus and oh no. And just to re-explain it for the second season that we've done this, we came up with three worst plays of the week, kind of a spin-off on SportsCenter's not top plays and top plays. Oh no. The O stands for Oppenheim and Hynes. That's how it was originally created. And the AA plus is Adam and Alex. So AA plus,
Hey,
you know, pretty
worked out
genius
well.
right there. I was using our heads.
Big brain.
But that being said, we really got to get going. So I will go first with my AA plus top three plays of the week. Let's start it. Let's talk about Kevin McGonigal again. Or maybe not, is he hits a fly ball to deep center field. Jackson Merrill ranges back, leaps at the wall, and we got some Merrill Madness. as Don Orsillo would say. I think he even said it in this call, I believe. And as McGonagall had a great series, but Merrill has the catch. Let's go to a guy at number two who was a big possible trade piece. At least teams were looking at him last season. Sandy Alcantara, who struggled in the 2025 season, starts the 2026 season with a bang. Complete game shutout against the White Sox. Obviously, all 9 innings. First complete game since 2023. Had 7 strikeouts, allowed just 3 hits. Sandy Alcantara, when he's on, super, super fun pitcher to watch. And at number one, he's still our picture on the A plus best of the week. Come on, man. Denzel Clark again. I think he had the best catch of the season last year and has an early candidate this season. Drake Baldwin, fly ball, deep left center field. Denzel Clark, the robbery. He keeps doing it, and he is our number one AA plus best play of the week.
How about it? Denzel Clark, man, he's special.
He really
Well,
is.
let's go to the worst of the week, or oh no, worst of the week. I want to start with just something funny. The robots finally got somebody tossed. Derek Shelton, manager of the Twins, I didn't even realize that, to be honest, arguing a call that Josh Bell thought he worked a walk in the ninth inning against Ryan Helsley. Helsley challenges, gets it overturned for the out in the ninth inning. Shelton says he took too long. Well, he didn't actually, but as Kevin Brown on the broadcast said, you can't defeat the robots, man. So the robots finally tossed somebody. Let's go to a couple of mashups, though, that are fun. Can we just catch the dang ball, please? Game one of the year, O'Neal Cruz. I know he's a shortstop by trade, but my goodness, man, you got to put some effort in. Fly balls into center, two of them by the Mets in the first inning. Drops one, misreads the other. Looks brutal. Paul Steen's debut ruined. And then later on, it's Mike Trout a couple days ago. Actually, it was yesterday. Dropped one. It was in the mitt at Wrigley. Your glove's there for a reason. And then Adolis Garcia, probably my favorite of the year, goes after it for the Phillies, just gets sniped. I mean, man falls flat on his back, the ball right next to him. It's a comedy sketch waiting to happen out there in the outfield to start the year. But our worst of the week has to be the man, the myth, the legend, CB, completely blind Buckner behind the dish, gets overturned twice trying to strike out Eugenio Suarez. Challenges once. Nope. Okay, that's a ball. Actually, my bad. My bad. Let's do it one more time. Strike three. Oh, no, that's another ball. Dang. CB's not having a good time. And then next series goes to Milwaukee. Jake Bauers running the bases. He touches first base like you're supposed to. CB says, nah, he didn't. Was CB even watching? I'm not sure about that. He gets overruled by a challenge by the Brewers dugout. All Pat Murphy can do is laugh in the dugout. Everyone's having fun at the expense of CB Buckner. Not a great start, man. So, CB Buckner, an umpire for the first time, I think, is our worst of the week.
Man, so, so funny. We're running out of time, too. You got it in just in time. More talk about CB Buckner on the way. So, for my partner, Alex Hynes, I'm Adam Oppenheim. We'll talk to you next time on Double A Baseball.